Hey everybody, it's Raphael from All Time Replay. I told you I want to come at you real soon and talk about y'all's takes on if you could bring one quarterback back to the league, bring one back, who would it be? And the choices were Warren Moon, Kenny Anderson, Dan Foutz, and Steve McNair. Now, a lot of people, a lot of people voted for Warren Moon. And I can understand that. Warren Moon was one of my favorite quarterbacks to watch compete back in the early 80s, man. I caught the tail end of his career. He did play a little bit into the 90s. I mean, he had some great runs with some really good Oilers teams. I want to say he started a year for Minnesota. I know he played in Seattle one year. I mean, he played on some good teams. He just never could get to a Super Bowl. I think his best chance might have been with either Minnesota or Houston, but he was a dang good quarterback, had a hell of an arm. Kenny Anderson, somebody commented that Ken was the odd man out. I would have to agree with that assessment. Kenny Anderson was a dang good quarterback for the Cincinnati Bengals. He played for the Bengals guys back when the Bengals had a orange helmet and they didn't have the stripes. They had an orange helmet and it said Bengals in black letters, bold letters going across it. It was the most boring uniform in the NFL, and it belonged to the Bengals back then. I believe he was drafted in like 1970, 71, around that time frame. So he'd been in the league a long time. I collected his baseball card back in the early 80s till he retired, but um, Kenny Anderson was a good quarterback. He did quarterback those Bengals to the 1981 Super Bowl. You know, he got him there. And to be fair, the Bengals have played the Niners twice in Super Bowls. That was the first time when Kenny Anderson led the Bengals to that game. But they were the team that never got blown out by the 49ers if they played them in the Super Bowl. So I thought that was an interesting fact. Dan Fouts, the games that dude played in, the legendary, iconic games, the 1981 playoff game against the Miami Dolphins in the Orange Bowl that went into like overtime. I mean, it was crazy. The blocked field goal attempt by Kellen Winslow Sr. I mean, it was an incredible game. This was pre-Marino, by the way. Dan Fouts was a part of some amazing, amazing games, and he was part of that offense. Air Coryell, man, he used to air it out. That was like before Marino. He had such a cannon. And he used to Dan Fouts, bless his heart, Oregon Duck. He used to backpedal. He looked like a duck. Hey, look up some highlights of Dan Fouts. He used to love the backpedal. Um, who else are we talking about here? We talked about Kenny, Warren, Dan, Steve McNair. So Steve McNair, I knew from the beginning when he got drafted at Alcorn State. Uh, Steve McNair was an incredible quarterback. Had a an amazing career with the Tennessee Titans. I remember the day that he was murdered, July 4th of 2009. And that was a really hard news, breaking news to wake up to living in the Nashville, Tennessee area. McNair, Wycheck, Eddie George, Javon Curse, they were like the face of the franchise back then, dude. It was wild. It hit Nashville hard. It hit me hard, man, because like he was such a good dude in the community. He was part of the recovery effort after Katrina. A lot of the Titans were down there at it used to be called the Delphia Coliseum. It's now called, I believe, Nissan Stadium. But the Titans had gotten together. McNair was there, and they were loading up 18 wheelers to send support down to Louisiana, to New Orleans for Katrina. So McNair was a great guy and a great quarterback, man. He was a mentor to a lot of young quarterbacks. He was a mentor to Vince Young, when he got drafted out of Texas. Uh, he was a great quarterback. I'm not going to take anything away from Steve McNair. I really did love Steve McNair as a quarterback and a part of that Nashville, Tennessee community. Remember, the Titans had only been around since '99. They were the Tennessee Oilers for a couple seasons, and they were in the Houston Oilers before that. Now, my take: if I had to bring any one of these guys, I would probably bring back Dan Fouts. And the reason I would bring back Dan Fouts is because the guy was a gunslinger, man. In spite of his duck backpedaling, waddling backwards like a duck. I would bring back Dan Fouts. I would love to see Just an all air out with the rules set up to protect the quarterbacks today, where you really can't sack them with any kind of intensity, or it's going to be a fine or a suspension or who knows what. I think with today's rules, Dan Foutz, man, would have lit it up. But then again, I would also bring two guys who are not in this list, Joe Montana and Dan Marino. I would love to see those gunslingers, right? And those quarterbacks, they were cerebral quarterbacks. Marino, Montana. Montana was cerebral, man. That's the guy. He was like the engineer educated guy on the team if you had to make a comparison, and he was just fantastic. I would like to see with today's rules, because we almost lost Joe Montana against the Giants twice in the playoffs in the 80s. He almost got his head decapitated by Jim Burt coming through the line, and then Leonard Marshall almost stuck his helmet right through the man's thoracic cavity through his back. Lawrence Taylor was interviewed about it. He thought the man was dead. Hey, listen, y'all. It's been fun to go over this, what if, right? What if you could bring one of these quarterbacks back? I've enjoyed the engagement. I enjoy the follows. Please like and share. And hey, any suggestions you guys have for the podcast, for the full episodes, please let me know. I'd love to talk about it. Have a great day, y'all. Be safe.